What is it about this writing style that's so slippery that I just can't get? It's like a TikTok feed. I can't get out of it, And so I would say it's like more like a door where you kind of got to go knock and take a leap of faith that there is something on the other side of this. You can't see exactly what you're going to get until the door opens.
All right, we're live. Cool sweatshirt. What's going on?
Oh, dude, I already told you. I can't talk about it on air, but I am, there's some days where there's a fire on the third floor and you got to grab the extinguisher and go put it out. And so that's what I've been doing today is putting out. And I'm glad that I did this, which is we had a bunch of family coming in town for Thanksgiving. Wife was like, oh yeah, it's great. We got my sister coming. We got this person coming. This person's coming from India. I was like, oh God. Okay. She's like, we should host Thanksgiving. I said, I love the giving spirit. I love the idea, but we're not hosting anything on Thanksgiving. Why? Because we have an e-commerce company and Black Friday is the biggest sales day of the year. And she said, well, what are we going to do? Like, it's just going to sell online. Like we're not going to go to the warehouse or something and go fulfill it. So what are we going to do? I said, sometimes you got to create space because you just want to be available. You want to have buffer. You don't want to be fully booked in case you need to do it. Maybe you have an idea that something you could do to drive sales, or in this case, what if shit absolutely hit the fan and you had to do something to recover, which is exactly what happened today. I created space. My COO was like, oh, I'm just going to go pick this person up from the airport that day. It should be no problem. Guess what? She's in the car. The shit's hitting the fan and she can't get to a computer and she did not create enough space. And so that was a great lesson.
That's an evolution for you because you are not the man at creating space.
I was not a space creator. That's come with, some gray hairs and wisdom is this idea. So I'm glad I did it because shit's hitting the fan today. And, I'm just hoping that I told you before this, I'm hoping that, my safety, my savings, my under the mattress savings of good luck needs to be cashed in today. I'm reaching under the mattress. I'm hoping it's still there. I feel like I put it there. I'm hoping that good luck is still there. I need it today.
Well, okay. So what we're going to talk about products and media that we like, and I have a couple, I got one thing in particular that's going to make a difference on your day today, actually.
Okay.
We can talk about it later, so today's episode is we're going to talk about products and media that we've consumed throughout the year that we think are cool. Because I like talking about gadgets and media, and so do you. The stuff that you talked about last episode was actually quite amazing. That article about data and how it's easy to read data incorrectly.
Just kind of like a great find. Is that the idea?
Great finds.
These are
exactly.
Great finds we've had this year, whether it's a product or it's a piece of content. Great finds. I think that's in the Thanksgiving spirit. It's like, being thankful for it, but also people have time. Hopefully people are creating a little space. You spend some family time, and but people have time over the holidays, and this is a good chance to either buy this as a gift for yourself, for somebody else, or to just check something out that you haven't tried before.
All right, well, let's start. Do you name one and I'll name one, or I can name a couple? What do you want to do?
Okay, let's do. I think we both have an app that we really like.
Right.
Two different apps. So let's do the category of apps. So what's a great find you had that's an app this year?
Okay, unfortunately, a lot of things I might name are going to involve fitness. A lot of them are going to be money related.
It's a fitness influencer life, bro.
Yeah, a lot of them will be money related though, actually, and relaxation and mindset. So the first one, Zero. It's called Zero. I believe Kevin Rose started it. Okay, so I never thought that I was intermittent fasting, but in order just not to overeat throughout the day, I just wouldn't eat breakfast. Turns out that's called intermittent fast.
Right.
But that's not why I did it. This app called Zero, it's free. They have a paid version, which honestly I don't think it does anything. But the free version, you say when you had your last meal, and it just tells you don't eat until, and then you, in my case, it's 16 hours. It's awesome. I love it. I can't believe how that one app actually makes me want to stick to it as opposed to when I'm on my own. So that app has made a meaningful change in my day.
What are you fasting? You're doing 16-8, or are you doing more intense than that?
I do 16-8. So
16-8,
basically, I'll stop eating at 8 p.m. and I'll eat again at noon.
Right. So that means 16 hours not eating, 8 hours eating. And when you eat in your 8 hours, are you like, eating kale salads, or you eat whatever you want in those 8 hours? I
don't eat whatever I want. I usually eat meat and vegetables. That's what I work hard to eat.
Do you
meat
portion
and vegetables.
size or no portion sizing within that 8 hours? You're fine. You just eat till you're full.
Yeah, I portion control. Yeah, definitely. I eat for sure. I try to eat 2,500 calories a day.
Good. All right. So I have anything else on Zero? I think that's a good one.
No,
I've tried
it's
the
cool.
app as well. I like it. It's a super clean interface. It's like I like apps that just do one thing really well, and that's what that does. Okay, here's an app. I think I've talked about this, but I got big into breath work. And so there's two apps that if you want to have kind of like a happier life, there's a lot of apps that will distract you, Instagram, TikTok, whatever. There's apps that will make you more productive, but they'll distract you from the real world. That's like email, Slack, maybe Twitter. And then there's apps that actually center you and ground you. And so my phone had enough of the distraction apps. I had enough of the productivity apps. Where I was lacking was, hey, how can I use this magic wand? That's how I think of my phone. It's a magic wand. I install an app and that's like a spell that I just could do some magic thing. I can get food to appear at my doorstep, or I can, summon a car, or I can do all kinds of different crazy stuff. I can put my mom thousands of miles away, her face can show up on my phone. Well, this one gets me grounded. And so there's two apps I want to call out. One, I think we've talked about before, it's called the 5-Minute Journal. I ended up meeting the guy who made this app.
I didn't know that was an app. I thought it was a notebook.
There is a notebook, and then there's the app. The app's, I think, more
that's
popular. Cool. It's a paid app. I think it's $3 or $5 or something like that, which is so funny because when I saw that, I was like, I don't pay for apps. I was like, wow, like my threshold for paying for shit on a phone is so low compared to like,
right.
It's a parking meter, but I get to use this app forever that some guy created and coded and makes it do all these things. So $5, and what it does is you open it up and it basically just has like a quote while it loads. It's always a good quote. They have good selection. And then it basically says, what are 3 things you're grateful for today? And the act of writing those down is great.
This looks great.
Not to get super cheesy, but basically the more grateful you are, the less stressed you are. You cannot be grateful and stressed at the same time. You cannot be grateful and afraid at the same time. You cannot be grateful and angry at the same time. So if you just want to not be any of those bad things, just focus on being grateful rather than not being whatever. It's like when you tell somebody, relax when they're really pissed off, guess what? They don't really relax very well. So telling somebody to not be angry or not be stressed doesn't work, but getting somebody to shift their focus to being grateful works actually really well.
What questions does it ask?
It just says, what three things happened today that you're grateful for? And it's things that happened today, not like, what are 3 things in your life that you're grateful for? And then you just sort of monotonously, you say, my health, my family, and my friends. It's like, no, what happened today that I'm grateful for? What's a moment of today? Then it forces you to slow down time because you're like, shit, what did I even eat for lunch today? What did I do today? And then you're like, you think of one thing and you're like, God, there must have been something more than that I'm grateful for. You kind of suck at it the first day, and you suck at it the second day. By the third day, something happens during the day and you're like, I'm going to write this in the app tonight. Like that's the thing. And so it forces you during the day to actually take note of what you're grateful for, which makes you a more grateful person. All right. So that's one app.
Let me just tell you something really quick. So Andrew Huberman, one of the things on my list, Andrew Huberman recently had a new video come out called The Science of Gratitude and How to Build a Gratitude Practice. Mm-hmm. Andrew Huberman was on our podcast. He's got this amazing YouTube channel where he talks about the science behind different things and how you can use it to help you. And his latest thing is on gratitude. And he says that he's been doing gratitude, and I don't want to get into the science, but basically there's something about like the prefrontal cortex and how gratitude actually releases dopamine, and it's proven to make you more motivated and happy. And he said a lot of people, including him, did exactly what you did. And he goes, I think that works, but we have loads of studies that show that the actually slightly more effective way is to do one of 2 things. And I believe it is you try. So the most effective thing is that you read or you remember, you read something that someone has written to you. And so someone's expressing gratitude to you. Of course, that's not entirely practical, right? And so there's a few things that you can do. The first thing is that you can think of a story when someone was helpful to you. And if you focus hard enough, it actually feels real. Yep. And the second thing that I do, me and my wife, is every couple of days, we have a set time that we sit down and we say, here's what I'm thankful. I'm thankful that you did this. And then the second thing that you can do is you can actually think of a story in which
my wife just do the opposite. We just say everything we hate about each other every 2 days, and then
that sounds good.
Then we get it off our chest. She's really good at the game. I'm getting better. It's a good thing.
It's called the Hateful Eight. Just 8 minutes of just like hating on each other. And the second thing that you could do is you can think of a story of someone being helpful to another person. And they put these guys, I believe, in a MRI, and they scanned their brain, and they watched a movie or a story about Holocaust survivors being helped and surviving. And it like changed something in their brain, and it was proven to make them more motivated and happier.
By the way, why is that the most convincing thing ever? Everything that they're like, they did an fMRI study, they scan people while they watch this, the brain lights up like a Christmas tree. It's like the most, like, that's the most, I'm just going to make that up whenever I want to be more convincing with my thing. I'm like, yeah, people who buy my power writing course, we've done brain scans. It shows that actually there, you know how there's a part of your brain you can't access? With this course, you actually access it. The scans, they speak for themselves.
I did a transcendental meditation thing, and it's like a style of meditation. And I went to the seminar, and they're like, it's proven with brain scans to be different than
Everybody
mindfulness. And I was like, really? I mean, like they're kind of the same thing. You're being quiet and just like I don't understand how. But anyway, that's what they said. So anyway, go ahead. Your second thing.
Well, one more on that gratefulness thing. There's one other technique that it's less convenient, but when you do it, it's awesome. It's called flooding. Have you ever heard of this?
No.
All right. Flooding is when you create a flood of memories of like great moments in your life. The easiest way to do it is you open up a photo album and you flip through it, or you go through your camera roll. So if like me and my wife, we get together, we'll have our camera roll open, and we'll just be showing each other photos from 3 years ago. Remember that trip? Remember that day? Remember this thing we did? Laughing about it, what happened that day. And just if you just do that for even 10 minutes, you just revisit those photos. I'm not a big photo guy. I actually hate taking photos in the moment. I find it to be just incredibly like off-putting. And my wife's like the opposite. She loves taking photos of everything. But I got to admit, this flooding shit is amazing. It works. I literally love her more after we do it because I remember all these amazing times I've had with her, and I don't have to try. I just like look at the photo and it's there. It's better than my imagination.
So that's what you're going to have to do today in order to get over your heartache, your money loss.
I know. We'll have to figure it out.
One more app.
One more app. So the other app is called Othership. So this just came out. I invested in this thing because I'm a believer in it. I struggled with meditation. Meditation was very hard for me. So even though I was friends with the founders of Calm and they gave me a free account or whatever, never really used it. Couldn't get myself to enjoy doing it. And I'm the type where if I don't enjoy it, it's just very hard for me to stick with anything I don't enjoy. I don't have enough willpower, don't want enough willpower. I don't know what it is, but I'm not great at it. So I wanted the benefits of meditation, but I didn't enjoy doing it. Breath work has become like a revelation to me. It's a form of meditation. It's very similar, but focusing on breath at a guided breathwork session. So I've tried Wim Hof, loved it. Wim Hof has a great app too. It's a free app. And Othership is like a souped up version of Wim Hof. And this guy, Robbie, created it. He's amazing at it. He guides a lot of the meditations himself. He built his own like home oasis he was like really early at Ethereum. And he was the first marketing guy at the Ethereum Foundation when it was like whatever, 60 cents or some shit like that. So
it's just like
$6.
mega rich.
So he got like, even with barely putting any money in, he got like kind of loaded. And then he sold some of it and was like, okay, I'm going to turn like I'm going to make this huge like kind of cabin out the garage type thing, like a mega garage. He turned it into like this like 20-person sauna plus cold plunge plus like amazing meditation room plus greenhouse and all this other shit.
You went to it?
No, he's invited me. It's in Canada. I haven't gone yet, but it's amazing. He hosts a lot of people there. He invited us actually, so you're welcome to go anytime. And they do like guided whatever, like microdosing LSD if you want to do that or whatever.
No,
you can do anything. You can do anything in this place. Long story short, he got really into breath work along this journey, and now this is what he does. He's like, I created this app. I'm gonna bring breath work to the masses, and I do it every morning, and it's amazing. So that's my Othership is the name of the app.
All right, I dig that. All right, I'll tell you one. All right, so there's this subreddit that I go to, and I love it. It's called fatFIRE. And the idea is people who want to retire relatively young with a lot of money so they can live a fat life without working. And there's this guy. And so basically, if you post on there a lot, the mods, the community leaders of the subreddit will verify your net worth to make sure you're not full of shit.
By the way, did you have a goal like this? Like I want to retire by X age, or I want to be like this wealthy by this age? What was your like, how did you phrase your goal?
I wanted to have $20 million by age 30.
Gotcha. All right.
That's what I wanted. That was my goal. I created that goal when I was when I was like 19 or 20 years old.
I mean, I can't confirm or deny, but mission accomplished is what I would say.
I sold my company. I achieved it at 31. I sold my company at 31.
Right.
And so that was my goal, because I asked a rich person who I knew, I asked him, how much money do you spend a month? And they told me $60,000 a month. And at the time I was like, I don't know, like, I can't imagine there's a world where
sounds absurd. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm like, that just sounds crazy, but whatever. Like, I asked like 8 people and this person had the highest number. And I was like, okay, I'll just do that because I'll be conservative. And then if you withdraw only 3% of your 20 million, that gives you like $600,000 a year to spend there. That's that number.
That's
so
what
I just
FIRE philosophy, and FIRE stands for financially independent, retire early. So that's
yes. So you can spend a percentage of your of your liquid portfolio, and basically it continues to grow.
Have enough money that the earnings, the sort of compounding earnings on the money being invested in something safe like the stock market, S&P 500 type of thing, can cover your burn rate. So there's 2 things that matter. What is the amount that I have invested, and then what is my life burn rate? That's why a lot of people who like FIRE, they go move to like, bumfuck, middle of nowhere, and they're like, oh yeah, I got rid of my car and it's great. Now I can, I got rid of everything I own, and me and my wife, we only eat apple cores, and now we are retired. It's like, but fatFIRE is different. fatFIRE is like, nah, I kind of want to ball out. I'm not trying to like skimp on my lifestyle. So, okay, what do I need to achieve and what do I need to optimize while still not giving up like what I find to be enjoyable in terms of lifestyle?
Yeah, so that's how I made up that number. And I spend $15,000 a month. So I don't spend even close to that.
By the way,
but
I saw this thing yesterday, which is somebody was saying, they posted like my company, here's what my company's revenues were for I think his name's Chris Cantino. It was like company's revenues for the first 7 years. And it was like, 0,000, 20,000, 50,000, 150,000, 350,000, 7 million, 21 million, or something like that, right? I'm making it up, but it was some slow build, and then suddenly things really take off. And I think they sold their company. It was a soap company, I think, for $100 million. I think I have that right. Is that correct? You know this guy?
No, I know who you're talking about though. He tweets great stuff. You said his name right.
Yeah. So okay. So he tweeted that, and it got me thinking. I was like, it's true. A lot of success, I would say, the common, when success comes through the front door, this is how it arrives: slowly and then suddenly.
When it rains, it pours, for sure.
And when it rains, it pours. And I started thinking, okay, is that true in my life? And I started writing down. I wrote down how much money I made from the age 20 to the age 31, because I also got wealthy basically at 31. And it was like, $0,000, then negative $30,000 with that first startup. Then I got a job, and the job paid me $120,000. I thought I was doing great. That was 120, and then went to 160, and then it like stayed there for a bit. And then I totaled it, and I said, wow, at age 31, I made more than the previous 11 years before that combined. And I was like, this is my advice to young people always is, if you're going to take a non-traditional path like entrepreneurship or betting on yourself rather than a corporate career track, you should be increasing, every 2 years by a certain fixed percent, and you're great. That's your lifestyle. If you take the non-traditional path, you go try to be a content creator, entrepreneur, or something else. It's going to be this slowly then suddenly path. And if you're 22, don't count your earnings at 22 or 23 or 24. You're going to check the scoreboard at age 30 was my motto, my advice to people.
Or regardless of 30 or not, after like 8 or 9 years.
You give it a decade. And you need to is total it up in 10 years. How did I do versus counting every year? Because you're going to lose, win big. And that's often the path. So I was curious for you, if you did that, is your path similar, or if you charted it out for 20s to 30s? I don't know if you want to share the exact or whatever, but
I can share some. I mean, when I sold, I had saved like 7 figures. Of course, that includes my wife and I, and she also worked at Airbnb. And so Airbnb went public, and she had worked there for a long time. Airbnb went public in December. I sold my company in February. So it was like December 1st, and then like February 1st was like that. Those 2 or 3 months was like massive. Right. And so, but prior to that,
ignore that. Take her out because we don't want to put her business out there. So let's just talk about you. In your early 20s, what were you making?
So from age 22 to probably 26 and 27, I paid myself something like $2,000 a month. So in the range, so the first year of business, I probably paid myself $20,000 for the first year. And then I paid myself $40,000 for the next 2 years. And then $70,000. And then the last year,
that was 24K a year, and then 40K a year, and then you said 70K roughly.
it was like 20, 40, 40, 70.
Yeah.
So that's 4 years in. And then the year we sold, I'd paid myself close to $300,000.
Right.
And I had a few other investments, like some angel investments and like some weird things that kind of paid off. But basically, like for the longest time, I mean, I was living, the way I rigged it was in San Francisco, my rent was only $400 because I rented out this big place and I only had 25 grand in my name and I spent all of it to rent out and furnish this place. And then I rented it out to people who basically subsidized it for me. So I was living like a poor person. And so I was able to save a little bit of money.
You were living like a wealthy person, really. You were living in a place and it was only costing you $400 a month, which is a great example, by the way, because there's a lot of people that will be like, oh, I want to move to San Francisco, but I can't afford it. All you're saying to me is I lack creativity and resourcefulness, because what you did is available to everybody. Go find a place that's at market or slightly below market price. And what you did, I think, is you cut a deal with the landlord. You were like, I'll never call you for anything.
Yeah, I told
Toilet
them.
breaks, I'll fix it. I think you lived there for like a decade or some shit, and you never called the guy.
Like 7 years. Yeah,
never
7
spoke
years.
to the person.
Yeah, I never saw him. I not once have I ever seen him.
If he showed up at the house, you wouldn't know who the heck it is.
I would not. I don't even remember what he looks like. I couldn't even tell you what he looks like. I think his name was Chris.
And so you cut this deal, and you were like, "Look, you basically became the landlord."
Well, I showed up and I was 22 and it was a $4,000 or I forget how much was it, $4,500 a month for a 4-bedroom house. And he goes, "Is it just you?" I go, "Look, it's just me right now, but I'm going to get like some friends to move in. I'll like sign a sublease with them and I can have you approve it."
Right.
But basically like I'm going to pay you on time all the time. And the preferred relationship you and I have is I never see you again. And are you okay with that? And he goes, "Yeah." He goes, don't be late. And I go, "Okay, deal." And we were never late. One time I'm an idiot. One time I shot a BB gun in the toilet and it broke the toilet. And so we just went to Home Depot and like bought a toilet and just replaced it. You know what I mean? So we would do stuff like that all the time.
If somebody said, "Hey, which of your friends shot a BB gun into the toilet?" I'd be like, "Oh, you know Sam? Sam's great. He's a great guy."
We bought like an airsoft gun or something. We're like, let's see how strong this is. Because we didn't want to shoot it in the house because it went through the couch. Anyway, so at this point, so it was a slow build. It took like 5, 6, 7 years. But then what's crazy is I'm 32 now. I started hustling at age 20, probably 20, like making like real money on my own, like livable money. And at this point, at age 32, I'll make more this year from a couple like side investments, like a real estate deal that I did. I'll make more this year than collectively all of my salaries combined while working at the hustle.
Exactly. And that's the exact same case for me. And I think that's actually really common. And I think the reason I bring that up is because A, it's interesting to me. B, I think that's really comforting to people, because when you're in it and you're not making any money and it looks like other people are all making hella money, it can feel very bad. And you can question if you're on the right path or not. And this doesn't mean you're definitely on the right path, but it means when this path of entrepreneurship works, that's commonly what it looks like. So don't be surprised. All right, so let's get back to
by the way, when I was getting going, I was always so envious of other people, like my friends. I'm like, fuck, you got a job at Google? You make 150 grand a year and you have all these benefits? I haven't been to the doctor forever. This is awesome. I'm so jealous. So
you'd come to my office and you'd be like, "Dude, this is your office?" And I'd be like, yeah. And then we'd be eating something. You'd be like, "Is this cheese just always available? Whose cheese is this? They just bring you this cheese?"
I felt like I would bring.
You'd be like, "Look, this cheese is from Whole Foods. This is expensive cheese." I'm like, "Bro, stop talking about the cheese right now." But it was like, I remember you were noticing all those things in a funny way.
Well, I was like, "You guys have an espresso machine?"
Yeah. You guys got a women's bathroom?
What the hell is an espresso machine? Yeah, I remember I was like freaking out that you had an espresso machine. I was like, "What the hell is this?" And I remember like I used to take food to go. So anyway, it accumulated quickly. And I think for most people, I think that it's like you're poor. And then it's like suddenly it's like, "Oh, holy crap, I'm not anymore." And
right.
you have that moment. And there's this subreddit called fatFIRE, and they talk a lot about that. And there's this guy who has a series of threads called Confessions of a Hectomillionaire. And he's doing like 8 parts, and I linked to it in there.
I see part 5 here. Yeah.
And the mods have basically approved it. So basically, the mods have, like, this guy DM'd his accountants or account information or something. So they like verified that he's as wealthy as he is. But basically, in the beginning thread, he says, I'm worth north of $100 million. I got wealthy originally because I was an employee at a tech company that made me $30 million. And that was like 15 years ago. And then I invested in this, and then I did this, and then I did this. And I'm going to answer a lot of the questions that I think a lot of people ask here. And the mods have approved that I am who I am. And I'm going to tell you all about work and purpose, my time and routine, why I keep a low profile, how relationships are complicated, what I spend on a monthly basis, what my investment in portfolio management is. And it's incredibly fascinating. I love this stuff where you get behind the scenes of people who you normally never have access to. And so it's a great series. It's a great thread. It's awesome.
Awesome. I love it. Great find. Okay, let's do some more. So what do I want to do? Okay, let me do...
you want me to do a quick one while you're thinking?
Yeah, do a quick one.
Okay, and I can keep rattling, so you just let me know. So, all right, this is a little black hat here, but I'm going to tell you. So there's this company called, I think it's made by the same company. It's called Web Archive. It's the greatest thing ever. I love Web Archive. And they have got this side project called Archive.today. So Archive.today. Have you ever seen this?
Yes, I have seen this.
It is awesome. So if you ever want to read, so there's a bunch of products out there on how to read articles that are paywalled or behind some type of like thing that you can't see them. So there's outline.com, which is kind of cool. There's this other one that's called 12 foot and it's called 12 foot ladder. And so it basically says, show me a 10
go over the paywall.
Yeah. So listen to the tagline, show me a 10-foot paywall. I'll show you a 12-foot ladder. Brilliant, right?
Genius.
Brilliant. And it doesn't work all the time.
It doesn't work very well. That's the problem with 12 foot.
Yes.
Neither does Outline. Yeah.
Archive.today works. I've never used it and it not work. And so if you ever want to read something and you don't feel like
paying the paywall,
like you just want to read like an article and not all like pay for it, Archive.today is the greatest thing I've ever seen.
Yeah. And the Internet Archive is just like a treasure, right? Like it's a nonprofit thing. It's a great way to go look up what did the original version of the Airbnb website look like. You can go to the Wayback Machine, which is something they've created, and you can type in Airbnb.com. You can go back and you can see, oh, wow, it used to be called Airbed and Breakfast. And it was like catered toward conferences because that's how they initially got their start and blah, blah, blah. So, you know, the Internet Archive, which is the nonprofit behind it, is amazing. They actually bought our friend's company. They bought Xavier's book company as well because they're going to like scan all the books and make them available for people and things like that. So they just
it's amazing. Really, you know, they're based in Inner Sunset, right where my office was.
That's right. Okay, let's do some more. Okay, so I basically made a pretty big, and I think at the risk of us sounding like kind of like overly obsessed with fitness, which is like ironic because at least you're ripped. So I think you could get away with being obsessed with fitness. I'm not ripped yet. So it's like a little bit weird when I talk too much about it. But I made a big investment in this because.
And your improvement has been massive.
I basically, when I was.
How much did you weigh when we first started filming? Do you know?
I have no idea, but I basically gained like 40 or 50 pounds over the course of like my last startup and like never lost it. So
do you think you weighed I used to be like 250?
Not 250. I think the most I ever weighed was 225, and I don't even weigh much less than that now. But
it's a different weight though.
It's like muscle versus fat. It's like converting, right? So, so yeah, I basically ballooned up. Again, I used to be 175 or whatever, and then all of a sudden I'm 225, and felt really bad, and it's not healthy. It doesn't look good. All this stuff. When I would see a photo of myself, I'd think that's a bad photo of myself. And after 3 years, I'm like, hey, how come all the photos are just bad photos of me? Oh, wait, maybe I'm like actually just like massively out of shape here. So I invested in basically 3 or 4 things now that have paid off. And I'll tell you one that I don't think paid off. So, so I think fitness takes a couple things, at least for me, and that's time. So I was like, okay, what are some things that if going to the gym is taking too much time, what's a way that I can hack that? So first of all, I built a home gym. So there's no going anywhere. But even me, you could put a Peloton right next to me. That doesn't mean I'm going to ride it. You could put my foot in the straps. That doesn't mean I'm going to push. Like, there was many reasons for many years that I didn't exercise regularly. And so one was just bringing the gym home. Then I got a trainer because I said, well, if some dude shows up, I'm not just going to ignore him. Like I'm clearly going to like do the workout. And
I think that's the biggest thing that made a difference. I have a friend who is who is a wealthy guy, and he was like, hey, can you tell me what to do? And I'm like, no, man, get a coach for like $250 a month, and they'll tell you what to do, and you don't think, you just do what they say. And he was like, that's really expensive. I'm like, dog, you live in a $4 million house. Like, why do you like your body's your house, and you're not going to spend $300 or something to fix it?
Yeah, that's wild. My dad does that. My dad's like, oh, you spend on this personal trainer 5 days a week? Like, that's crazy. I have this trainer I found in India. He just does it on Zoom, and he's only $4 an hour. I was like, $4 an hour? He's like, yeah, he wanted 6, but I got him down to 4. And he was so proud. And I was like, oh, that's amazing. Okay, is it good?
Such an Indian thing to do.
He's like, yeah, he's really good. He's really fit. No, I was like, no, is it good for you? He's like, oh, well, I don't really do it. Like, he's like, it's only $4, so I don't even mind if I skip it. I was like, exactly. Like, you literally don't do it. It's not working for you. You're not exercising regularly. You're not getting in better shape. So how, is it really that good? So anyways, I invested in a bunch of stuff, and I took an approach, which was like, I wanted to leave myself no outs. So I took a like burn the boat strategy. So first I talked about it publicly, and I talked about it publicly because if I talk about it publicly, I'm going to be humiliated. If, I'd feel embarrassed if I talk about this and I don't do it. I don't back it up.
Same. I think that I vouch for that.
I made it super convenient. So I did home gym, and I had a trainer come to my house. I paid the extra to make sure that happened. Okay. So now I'm doing the workouts. Okay, cool. Now, how do I do it where I actually enjoy it? Well, I invested in making the space nice. So like I went to your gym and I was like, wow, this feels great. I need to get a floor like this. And I bought these rubber tiles, and I did all this stuff to make the gym feel better. And I like got like the sound system, and I did a bunch of things to make the environment one where I would not dread going there. I would want to go there, and a bunch of things like that. So those were all great investments. I felt like were great finds for me was like these little rubber tiles, and it took time and energy to research these. And I didn't outsource this. I was like, no, I need to find the best one because I want this to feel a certain way. And I crafted that kind of vision for myself. Same thing. I just got a sauna, set it up yesterday, did the first sauna session in it. And I'm like, this is amazing.
That's sick, right?
Already, this is one of my great purchases of the year. And I just have had it for one day. I got this clear light sauna, infrared sauna. And I know that some people are like, don't do infrared. And some people are like, buy this other brand instead, whatever.
No, Clear Light's good.
Clear Light's a great brand. But some people are like, you should do the dry sauna, not the infrared. From what I could tell, it's totally fine. And it's, importantly, it fit into my life. Whereas the other one would have required like a whole bunch of like waiting for like a bigger space and electrical and all those changes to be made in order to work.
As long as it can get hot enough, it's good.
Yeah, exactly. So those have been, for me, the best finds. Now, here's the worst buys, the worst things I did. Anything that I attached to my wrist has just failed. So I bought an Apple Watch, lost it.
Same.
Or got stolen / lost. I don't know what happened. It was at the office and it was gone. Second one, bought a Fitbit, lost it. Whoop band, have it. Battery's dead. Don't charge it regularly enough for it to be useful. So everything I've tried that's like a fitness tracker that is like a wearable device, it doesn't work for me because I'm too disorganized and lose shit and don't keep things charged and ready for the morning and then charge it for sleep. I had an Oura ring. I lost that too. I have failed on like 5 wearables this year. So I got to count myself out on that.
Do you wear a wedding ring?
Lost my wedding ring as well. So that's, for bonus points.
Dude, that's why I wear these like $20 rubber ones.
Yeah. Mine was only a $60 wedding ring anyways. So I didn't feel, the sentimental loss. Yeah. But, I kind of knew that, hey, I don't know if I'm a ring guy. I never wore a ring in my life.
Yeah.
And sure enough, just taking it on and off ended up.
I lost mine the first week. Same.
Yeah, I lost mine on my honeymoon. The world's best husband. All right. Okay, let me give you a different one. Let's shift to media. Great podcasts, articles, YouTube channels, whatever that we really like. I have a whole category called canceled comedians, which is like, there's a whole bunch of people that I love their content. They're canceled by, society But they're just as funny as they were before everybody found out that they like to have sex with 18-year-old girls or whatever. Like, so there's this guy, Chris D'Elia, who got canceled, I don't know, a year ago. I found him really funny before. I find him really funny now. And he also has these little, like, almost like inspirational moments in between the comedy that I love. There's this video he has called Life Rips. Have you heard this video?
No, but I love him.
All he's saying is like, this shit was happening in my day or whatever. And he's like, he has this phrase, life rips, which is like, he's saying like, life is awesome. And he's like, just remember, he's like, life rips. And then he tells this story. It's just, he's a great storyteller, amazing storyteller. He tells a story about life rips. It's a feel good moment. It's a reminder that actually, yeah, you're right. Instead of focusing on my problems all day, let me just focus on the fact that life actually really freaking rips. And then he brings that in. He brings that as a callback into a bunch of other podcasts that he does where he'll tell a little story. He's like, this is a life rips moment. And just that philosophy has like made me really happy. He does this thing also where he'll be recording the episode, and you'll relate to this. He's kind of like, I think a lot of great entrepreneurs and artists are this way, where they're like sort of like perfectionists in a way. Like they want things to go well. They want well-made stuff. And so let's say there's a technical problem where he's like, let's pull up that clip. And then like the computer crashes, or like somebody walks by and unplugs his microphone like midway through or whatever, like kicks out the power cord to the lamp. And instead of in that moment getting mad, he just replaced it with this thing where he just goes, yes, the cord ripped out of the wall. He'll just be like, he'll be like, yes, we can't find the file. Or he'll be like, yes, dude. Yes, we absolutely can't show the thing I'm talking about. Yes, nobody has any idea what I'm trying to say. And he just like, instead of being like, oh no, this sucks, which is like such a pattern that we can fall into, he just does this little yes thing. And I kind of stole it in my daily life. My wife hates it. She thinks it's like very annoying that I do this. Like she doesn't understand what I'm doing. She doesn't know the reference.
Now she will.
But she doesn't listen to the podcast either. So she still probably won't. But it's such a hack, dude. It's such a hack to just, instead of just letting this little inconvenience, this little thing that went wrong, F up your mood, just like rewire the response to something that's almost ironic. It's like sarcastic, but it actually becomes real by the time you do it. Jocko, who's this guy who goes on Joe Rogan, he does the same thing. He's just like this crazy, I don't know, Navy SEAL type dude, super hardcore. And his whole thing is around like, pain is good. And so like, he'll be like, oh, you got shin splints? Good. Like this run.
I love that. It gets me fired up.
And he'll be like, oh, your Uber ride didn't show up? Good, time to have a hike. And it's like, he replaces that sucks with good, time to get tough, or good, good, gotta go earn more money, lost all mine. Like, whatever. It's like almost comedic how extreme he is with it. But not gonna lie, this shit actually works. And so that's my content recommendation.
Do you have I've got a bunch, but do you have any type of cardio machine at your house?
A treadmill, yeah. And a rower.
All right.
Yeah.
You do have a rower?
I have like you have like a rower that makes you feel like you're on the Swiss Canal or whatever. I have like a rinky dink, $120 Costco rower.
All right. I don't think you're going to want to do this then, but I was going to say tomorrow. So I'll do it on my shitty rower. I've been doing these things where like, I'm like, all right, everyone, this Sunday, 60-minute row, post your results. Such
a fitness influencer move, motivating
and
others.
So do you have a bike? You don't have a bike? Do you have a bike?
I have a bicycle, not a spin bike. I have like
it might be easier if you're doing the bike. So I'm going to get up early tomorrow, like 7:30 or maybe 7, and I'll get this thing done. And you just post your results and be like, and so I tweeted out, I go, tomorrow is a 90-minute day. And people are like, isn't that boring? And I'm like, yes, that is the point. We should go through pain tomorrow before we get thankful.
Right.
So if you want to do it with me, do a 90-minute, any type of 90-minute steady cardio.
90 minutes. Good.
I don't think
no one there to watch my kids.
Yeah, well, I don't think you could.
90-minute bike ride with Sam.
Well, that's why you got to get up early to do it. You got to like go through some hardship. I don't think you're going to be able to run for 90 minutes, but even like a brisk walk, honestly, for 90 could work. But just like as long as your heart rate's like 140-ish. Yeah. All right, let me tell you 5 or 4. I'm going to go fast on some bits of media. The first, This happened earlier this year. There's this amazing video of Rose Namajunas, this awesome UFC fighter. But the reason she's interesting is she's like really quiet and introspective and seems like a sweetheart, not like a fighter. And there's this amazing video of her about to fight this badass woman from China who just looks like the Terminator. And she's repeating to herself, I'm the best. I'm the best. I'm the best. And when I first saw that, I teared up. It's the greatest. It pumps me up. It's amazing. The second thing, primitive technology.
By the way, can I just give a recommendation there? For people who don't follow the UFC, they're going to watch this. They're going to be like, whatever. Even if they went and watched it, it wouldn't have the same emotional resonance. It resonated for you because you know how much of a Terminator that other girl is. You know Rose's backstory and how she struggles with anxiety. She's not a bravado type of person. So for her to say, I'm the best, it's not bravado and trash talk. It's literally self-talk so she, can perform
Believes
and be
it.
her best and not let anxiety get the best of her. So the backstory, but I think everybody should have these go-tos, this stash of like inspiring moments that you were there for, that the context, the backstory, and then you could just put them. It's like that flooding thing I was talking about earlier. You can just go back to it and you can instantly get that feeling. And you should just have a well of these.
Which I like. I think that people should know that, like successful people, I don't know if people consider me successful or not, but I know that like way more successful people than I do this, but I rely on like I'll like read a book about someone who I admire and I'm like, how would this person react to this situation?
Totally.
Like I do that all the time. Or I'm like, sometimes I'll even do it with like UFC fighters. I'm like, this guy just got punched in the face and he got up. Like I could do it.
Right.
So I like that Rose Namajunas thing. The second thing is primitive technology. Have you heard of primitive technology?
No, what's that?
Click the link. It's in there. So this guy has 10 million subscribers on YouTube. In his videos, of which there are, how many are there? Maybe 50?
You've talked about this guy. He's like a caveman.
Yes. So there's maybe only 20 videos. And his very first video has 31 million views. It was 6 years ago. And it's him not talking, not saying a word. He's in the woods and he's building a hut. And eventually it works out to build like a proper house. And he does it without saying a word. And he does it with only using things that he finds in the woods. No power tools, no nothing. He builds a kiln. He builds a tiled roof hut.
Okay, so I'm on that video. It starts, he's just the camera is just panning at this spot on the ground in the middle of the forest. It's clear like there's nothing here. I'm going to build a little hut here.
Now click to the end. Click to the end. He has
like a clay hut
with the fireplace in there.
With a fireplace and a chimney.
Yes. And the whole video, he doesn't say a single word. All you do is
he literally has bare hands.
Yes, just building it. And then he'll like make like a hammer out of like he'll make rope and then he'll make a hammer out of rope and a stick or a rock and a stick.
Do you know this guy's backstory? Like this guy looks just like everybody I went to Duke with. Like who is this guy and why does he do this?
It's in Australia, I believe, and he owns this land. And so if you go to his about page, it just says, where is this? And he goes, Queensland, Australia. Do you live in the wild? I don't live in the wild, but I love going out into the land to do these projects.
Queensland. Yeah.
And so he doesn't talk much. He doesn't do anything. His channel has gotten 1 billion views and all he's doing is building like there's another one.
I'm watching him make fire just with he's just rubbing his hands together like this with a stick in between. And he just made a fire while you were talking.
It's so relaxing. It's so awesome. I love it.
So be honest. Do you actually want, because I see this, I'm like, this is so cool. And I'll like click through one and then I'll be like, oh, this is just something I'm going to go tell other people about. I would never actually sit here and watch this for 30 minutes.
I've watched all of them. Do you have Apple TV?
No, I don't. But
I have Apple TV. So my version of TV is YouTube. So first thing when I sit down on the couch, I go straight to YouTube and I'll just watch like this is like that TV show How Stuff's Built. Do you remember that?
Yeah, but you do it in the background or you actually just pay attention to them.
Yeah, maybe I'll like be talking to Sarah or cooking. Yeah, I'm like, oh my God, wait, watch this. Look what he's doing. Yeah, maybe it's in the background. I mean, I don't actually sit down and really watch TV unless it's a movie.
Or the challenge.
Challenge.
Okay, so this is amazing. Okay, primitive technology. I love it.
All right, let me keep going. I'm going to roll. Okay, the third one, how to be great, just be good repeatedly. This is an article by Steph Smith, who works for me. There's two reasons why I love this article. The first, That is one of the best headlines I've ever read.
Yes.
It is a wonderful headline. And she writes this article about how great things rarely are you like trying to be great. It's more so just like being kind of good, but doing it consistently. And in my life, I have found that with this podcast, with a bunch of other stuff, like I'm like, I don't want to do this today. It's like, all right, fine. I'm going to do it anyway. Even though I know today I'm not going to do a good job of it, I'm just going to get it done. And she does a really good job of articulating why that works. So I love that article. All right, I'm going to keep going. The next one, there's this guy who's got a YouTube channel called More Plates, More Dates.
Yeah, I watched this guy.
He is amazing. He looks at pro athletes and actors, and he's I think he's a doctor. I don't know what his background is. He sounds like he knows what he's talking about. And he tells you what steroids he thinks different people are on.
I watch these, and every time I do, I regret so much. I'm like, what a waste of my life I just did. But he comes up in my feed, and I'm like, oh, I know that person. Yeah, are they on steroids? And then like 30 minutes later, I'm like, I cannot believe I've let this be in my brain for the last 30 minutes. What a waste of my brain.
It's interesting though, because he'll explain like the science behind it. He's like, a lot of people think that this athlete is doing EPO. You wouldn't do EPO because the way that your body works is this, and this. And so it's kind of interesting. He goes, but you would do HGH because the way HGH works is it's proven to do. So it's like a science. It's interesting.
Bro, all right. And then gossip, but yeah, there's a little bit of science.
It's gossip from a person who I believe is reputable, not in having firsthand knowledge of the people, but firsthand knowledge in doping. And the final thing, I found this book. It has 2 reviews on Amazon. Only 2 reviews on Amazon. It's amazing. And so apparently in the foreword, they say that's one of the most popular books in Russia. But I didn't know that. And they translated it into English. So these 2 journalists from the USSR in 1933 made a deal with the US government that they would let them come in and spend 3 months doing a road trip. And so they saved up a little bit of money. They came here and they bought a camper van, and they spent 3 months traveling America, talking to people with nothing to do, really they just wanted to learn about America. And from an outside perspective, they show what makes America special. And it's incredibly fascinating because we take a lot of things for granted. And they criticize America, and this is in the 1930s. So this point is particularly true. They criticize like our race relations and things like that. This is crazy how people treat each other. But there is a lot of good, including they say there's something about Americans that I've never seen ever before, which is they always think that they are going to overcome any adversity, and they always are optimistic about like some situation. And also, oddly, they're friends with their bosses. So like they work together to achieve things, and they don't like their friend. Like you could be friends with your boss and you cannot hate them or want to rob from them. Right. And people are, and it's a wonderful book. It's written in the 30s. It's awesome. So that's my book. Oh, it's called Little Golden America.
Nice. That's great. You read the whole thing?
I'm finishing it up now. And I actually posted a link on my Twitter where it's free, like a PDF.
Okay, cool. I like that. Okay, I have a couple quick ones. So a Chrome extension that I'm liking a lot. It's called Everyday, and it's basically a habit tracker. So so if you go to the website, I think it's called Everyday. Let me just find the everyday.app, I think is the thing.
Look it up.
And basically you just say what you want to do. So you're like, oh, I want to for me, for example, I have morning routine. I have clean lunch, clean dinner. I have workout. I have my gratitude thing, and then I have
cool.
That's it. And then basically what it does is it just lets you create a streak. So you just say, yes, I did it this day. I intentionally skipped it. I'm allowed to skip it, or I missed. And then it just keeps track of your streaks, and it creates this awesome green grid of like, as you do your habits, you get this really satisfying completion of like your grid being green. It just shows I'm doing the things I said I wanted to do, which for me is, and most people, is all of the challenge. All of the challenge is not, oh, I just don't know what to do. It's, I'm not doing the shit I know I should do. And so this is just, a great tool. And I think it's great because it's a Chrome extension, so it's in your face. You don't have to remember to check it. It's every time you open a new tab in your browser, it's going to remind you, oh yeah, could I knock that out right now? Yeah, I could actually just do that right now, and I could get it done. So it's I actually have my own Chrome extension, and I've replaced it with this one. That's how good it is. So, this is one of my favorites.
I'm downloading it now.
Okay, let me give you a couple other things that I think are really cool. You showed me this, Camo. It's an app for your iPhone. Now, we spent a lot of money and time. You may not be able to tell right now because we're both not in our main studio, or I'm not in my main studio. You're in a different spot.
I look good.
I know
don't
you're
look
traveling.
Good. No, I'm not traveling. Look,
Oh no,
look
sorry.
at me.
You've been traveling, so we,
Yeah.
on different videos we have different level of quality or whatever. But we did we both tried on our own, and then we hired people to like, hey, how do people get that fancy ass blur and like super HD video?
It was
like,
so hard.
And they're like, oh, you got to buy this Canon. Which one? 50D, 40D, 6D, 7D. Which D do I buy? Okay, I'll get this one. Oh, then I need like some kind of cord or like a capture card. How am I gonna do that?
It's so much
Tripod,
of
super pain in the butt. Batteries. Oh, but the battery's gonna die during the episode, so you have to actually get a double battery or a dummy battery. Pain in the ass. So, and it's thousands of dollars. The camera itself was like $1,500, something like that. So it's really expensive. And you were like, oh, dude, I'm just using this iPhone app called Camo. That just you just download the app, and then it just uses the native iPhone like portrait mode to make your camera look good. And you were like, look, I'm just using my phone. I look just as good as you. And I was like, yeah, I'm using the $2,000 thing, and it's really hard to set up. You know,
Dude, it's sick. It's only $30.
And look, I'm traveling, and I just bring this with me because it's my phone. And I was like, oh my God. I think it's 40 or $50. I don't know if is it 30? Maybe it's 30.
I don't remember.
I actually think in the new iOS, it's just, this is just baked in actually. I don't think you even need this anymore. But for now, and if I'm wrong about that iOS update,
You mean it's coming out soon?
like in the new iOS, it's gonna be part of the native camera. So you don't need an app to do this, I think.
You mean, but one coming out soon or one out now?
I don't know, now, soon, something. Something like that. So, but in the meantime, this app Camo is kind of amazing. Great business by whoever's doing this, and amazing timing because the whole world went remote and everybody wants to look good. So that's definitely one of the best products.
The analogy we made or someone made is having Camo. It's like in the 70s and 80s and 90s when it mattered that you wore a suit. Having a Camo is like showing up in a meeting in a nice suit.
Exactly. So I think that's a great product. Okay, I'm going to give you a YouTube channel. So you did More Plates, More Dates. The binge I've been on is it's like kind of embarrassing almost. It's these old school direct sales seminars. So I'm like, okay, how do I don't know why I like this because I'm not even doing anything that has direct sales. Like there's not a product I sell that's direct sales. I'm not a salesman, never been one. But I'm just like fascinated with the art of persuasion and sales.
Which ones?
And so there's a couple that are really good. Last night, like for example, I fell asleep last night while listening to it. If you just search Tony Robbins sales rare, and it's like there's two. There's one where he explains how he got his career started. He doesn't talk about this much. He got his career started selling audio cassettes, like music tapes, to people. To people, and he would do these like. He'd go and he's like, yeah, like the way we would do it is a woman would reach out to the potential customer and they would say, we'd love to give you a free gift. And we'd love to tell you a little bit about our company. And they'd be like, free gift. He's like, yeah, it's a free gift. It's usually worth about $100. And we'd love to give it to you. And, if you'd meet with our person. And then Tony was that person. And he would be like, he would walk through the step-by-step thing. And he'd be like, I would say this. And why am I saying that? I'm saying that because blah, blah, blah. Here's the thing about how people buy. He's like, and he's got his whole philosophy. And he even says in this thing, he's like, would I do this now? No, because I feel like it's a little too pushy. But I'm always the type where I want to know what's the real potent shit that works. I want to know the borderline illegal version of selling and persuasion. And then it's up to me to decide, am I going to keep the knob on level 12 or do I want to turn it down to 9? But I don't want to. I don't want to be at level 6 because I was too afraid to ever find out what does maximum persuasion look like. What's
the channel called?
I just look at the individual videos. There's not any channel. So like I'll look up Gary Halpert rare or Gary Halpert 1980s or Gary Halpert original seminar, Tony Robbins young, Tony Robbins rare, Tony Robbins original seminar, Tony Robbins direct sales, Tony Robbins infomercial, and I'll just find their material and I'll deconstruct it myself, like what's working. Like we had Craig Clemens on, and Craig Clemens comes on the podcast, and he's a friend of ours, and he's a great person on the pod, but he doesn't talk a lot about his company. So he's got Golden Hippo. They've sold like over I think he sold over $1 billion worth of product in his lifetime. And Golden Hippo will do, over $100 million in sales. But it's like, hey, what Golden Hippo is a holding company. What are the companies underneath? And he doesn't really like go list out the 13 companies or whatever, however many there are underneath it. And nobody really pushes him for that. And he's kind of like at the made it stage now. But he got his start early on doing sales for a guy who's like a dating coach, and it was like,
I bought that when I
double
was a
your
kid.
dating, and like how to basically, it's all different titles that all mean how to get laid. And if it was a wife, it was like how to get the man of your dreams, how to get a husband, how to whatever. And so I find these old interviews or old seminars he did with that guy Eben Pagan, and I'll go watch those and I'll see, oh, interesting, he's talking about this headline he wrote and why this headline is amazing and why he thinks it worked, and this other one and why it totally didn't work and what he learned from that. And I just find these to be like, it's like puppy chow to me. It's just, I can't stop consuming it, even though I really have no direct use for it. I just love it.
So I'll tell you guys listening, Gary Halpert. So the Gary Halpert's this guy. He died somewhat recently from just like a heart attack or something. And he was an amazing copywriter. And he might have died in prison or soon after. He was in prison for a handful of years because he sold something.
Ironically, that's the guy I want to learn from.
Yes, and
the world famous
and
guy
that's why
who took it too far. Like Wolf of Wall Street. I'll go learn from him. I'm not going to take it as far, but I want to learn from that person.
I think he went to prison for mail fraud or something like that. So basically, people bought stuff and he just didn't fulfill it, and so he was just like, I sold it and I just lied, and that's obviously wrong. But you can learn a lot from him, and he's got these amazing things called the letters from Boron. They're Boron letters,
yeah.
And they're all free. So if you Google Gary Halpert Boron letters, you can find them for free. It's a series of letters that he wrote his son Bond from prison, and he teaches him everything he knows about life and selling.
Yes,
and
they're amazing.
So like you can go and read it.
I rewrote them all by hand because I was just so, and you're going to read it and you're going to be like, what? Why is this so good? It's so good if you know why it's so good. It's almost like that. It's like, it's not.
No, it's clearly good. Like you fall down like his slippery slope. You're like, why is this so interesting?
Well,
why do I want to keep reading this?
Exactly. You don't know. It's not like it's not a, it's what I'll call a door, not a window. So a window opportunity is one where you look right in and you could see what's in it for you. And you're like, oh, okay. Like, for example, let's say you wanted to get better at copywriting. The thing is not called how to get better at copywriting. And then he doesn't say, here's 5 copywriting techniques. No, he actually writes these as letters to his son, and then he just shows you great copywriting, and then he sprinkles in lessons as he goes, but it doesn't come to like letter 5 or whatever. There's like, it takes you're just interested, you're hooked, and you don't know why, and that's the technique. And then you got to like figure out, why is this so damn good? What is it about this writing style that's so slippery that I just can't get? It's like a TikTok feed, I can't get out of it, and so I would say it's like more like a door where you kind of got to go knock and take a leap of faith that there is something on the other side of this. You can't see exactly what you're going to get until the door opens.
Yeah, this is a winner. All right. Well, I think we just like laid out a ton of interesting stuff. Ben, you there?
And by the way, we should put links to as much of these as we can in the show notes. I'm also going to send out a newsletter of just like summarizing these, just on like whatever my own, like my weekly newsletter, whatever, ShaanPuri.com. And because I think these are actually really good, but most people listening to this, it's probably really fucking hard to be like, what am I supposed to do? Write these down and then go Google all these different things these guys are talking about?
Yeah,
like,
we'll do it.
You need the links.
What do you think, Ben?
Yeah, it's going to be great. At the bottom of the show notes, we'll just put a long list of all the links so people can find everything. But this was awesome.
We're just spewing cool products that we consume.
By the way, I have half of, you told me about this 2 minutes, or you told me before, but I was busy. I learned about this premise 2 minutes before the show, and I actually still have like 5 things that we didn't even get to. And I know you have like 10 things we didn't even get to. So we may want to, if people like this, we may want to do one more of these.
I like it.
And the point of this is it's supposed to be a Thanksgiving special, right? So you guys are just, if you're fat with turkey, you're sitting on your couch, you got some time on your hands, you can just start clicking through all these links, check out all this stuff, buy some stuff, watch some things, have a good time.
I think it's mostly free stuff, by the way, that we mentioned.
Yeah, a lot of it is free or very cheap. Ben, I love that sales pitch. That was great. Who's have you been watching these videos too? Are we sharing YouTube accounts? What's going on?
Yeah, I just had to step up my game after you're talking about all this copywriting and sales stuff.
That's the Mormon in you. You guys are natural salespeople. You guys are the world's greatest salespeople.
I guess
Mormon
that's
jokes
the
ever get old?
reputation. No, probably not.
That's the
Some
reputation.
stereotypes we have so few stereotypes we're allowed to access these days that when there is one that feels like it's okay, you just got to hit it over and over again.
Good. I'm down. Well, thank you. All right. I'm out. I got to go be with my family.
See ya.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Yeah, you too.